My sister Clara and I were always close, or so I thought. We were like two peas in a pod, sharing everything from clothes to secrets. When our parents passed away, the grief was a heavy blanket over both of us. They left behind our childhood home, a place filled with memories and a modest inheritance. The will was simple. Everything was to be split 50-50. It seemed straightforward, a final act of fairness from our loving parents. Clara, being the older, more responsible one, took charge of handling the estate. I trusted her completely. I was navigating my own grief, and the thought of dealing with lawyers and paperwork was overwhelming. So, I let her handle it, never once questioning her intentions. That was my first mistake. Months turned into a year, and then 2. Life slowly started to find a new normal. I'd ask Clara about the inheritance occasionally, and she'd always have a ready excuse. The lawyers are slow, she'd say. Or, there's a complication with the bank. I'd nod, accept her words, and move on. Why would I doubt my own sister? We'd built a lifetime of trust, but a tiny seed of unease had been planted. I noticed small changes. A new designer handbag here, an expensive vacation there. When I asked, she'd just say she got a big bonus at work. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the excuses started to feel a little too polished, a little too frequent. The turning point came on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. I was cleaning out some old boxes and stumbled upon a bank statement I didn't recognize. It was addressed to the estate of our parents. My hands trembled as I opened it. The numbers swam before my eyes. A huge sum of money, the full inheritance, had been deposited into an account, and then, bit by bit, transferred out. All the transfers were made to a single account. An account in Clara's name. The air left my lungs. It felt like a physical blow. The dates matched perfectly with her bonuses and spontaneous trips. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. My sister, my best friend, had systematically stolen our shared future, our parents' final gift. The betrayal was a cold, sharp blade twisting in my gut. For a week I was paralyzed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. The image of those bank statements was burned into my mind. Every happy memory I had with Clara was now tainted, colored by this devastating lie. Was any of it real? Did she ever truly care about me? The anger came next. A white-hot rage that consumed the grief and shock. How could she do this? To me? To the memory of our parents? I replayed every conversation, every excuse she ever gave me, the casual way she lied to my face, while spending money that was half mine. I knew I couldn't let this go. This wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about justice. It was about standing up for myself, and for the memory of our parents, who would have been horrified. Confronting her was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I arranged to meet her at a neutral coffee shop. When she walked in, smiling, asking how I was, I felt a fresh wave of sickness. I laid the bank statements on the table between us. I watched her face as she looked at them. The smile vanished, replaced by a flicker of panic, then a cold, hard mask. She didn't even try to deny it for long. "You wouldn't have known what to do with it anyway," she said, her voice dripping with a condescension I'd never heard before. I was just managing it for us. Managing it? By buying luxury cars and funding a lifestyle I could only dream of. The audacity was breathtaking. The argument was short, brutal, and ended with her storming out, leaving me alone at the table, my world completely shattered. That's when I decided to fight back. I was terrified. Taking your own sister to court is a nightmare you never imagined for yourself. But her words, "You wouldn't have known what to do with it," echoed in my head. She saw me as weak, as someone she could manipulate and walk all over. I was determined to prove her wrong. I found a lawyer, a compassionate but tough woman named Miss Davies. I gathered every piece of evidence I could find. The bank statements, text messages where I asked about the estate, photos Clara had posted of her lavish purchases. Each piece of paper felt like a weapon in a war one never wanted to fight. The legal process was a slow, grinding machine. It was emotionally draining and expensive. There were days I wanted to give up, to just let it go to make the pain stop. But then I'd remember Clara's smug face, and the fire would reignite. The day of the deposition was surreal. We sat across from each other in a sterile conference room, lawyers on either side. She looked at me with pure hatred. The sister I loved was gone, replaced by this stranger. Her lawyer tried to paint me as irresponsible and greedy. They claimed Clara had invested the money on my behalf, despite having no evidence of any such agreement. Ms. Davies was brilliant. She calmly and methodically presented the facts. The secret account, the transfers, the lies. She laid bare the calculated deception. When it was my turn to speak, I told the truth. I spoke about our parents, about the trust I had placed in her, and the profound pain of her betrayal. I looked Clara in the eye and said, "This was never just about the money. It was about you breaking our family." The court battle dragged on for what felt like an eternity. It took a huge toll on my mental health. I relied on my friends, who became my lifeline, offering support when I felt like I was drowning. They reminded me that I was strong and that I was doing the right thing. The day the verdict came in, I was a wreck. I sat in the courtroom, my hands shaking, waiting for the judge to speak. And then he did. The judgment was in my favor. The court ordered Clara to repay my full share of the inheritance, plus interest and legal fees. A wave of relief so powerful it almost knocked me over, washed through me. I hadn't just won a court case. I had won my life back. I had proven to myself and to her that I was not weak. It's been a year since the verdict. Clara has been making the court-ordered payments. We don't speak. The sister I knew is a ghost, a memory from a different life. Rebuilding has been a slow process. I used some of the money to put a down payment on a small house, a place that is truly mine. I also started therapy to work through the trauma and grief. The scar of her betrayal will probably always be there, but it no longer defines me. I learned a hard lesson about trust and family, but I also learned that I have an inner strength I never knew existed. I can stand on my own 2 feet. I can fight my own battles. And most importantly, I can build a future for myself, on my own terms. This journey was painful, but it forced me to find my own voice and my own power. And for that, in a strange way, I am grateful. Thank you for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, please know you're not alone, and you are stronger than you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.